woefully underreported, even in conservative circles, is how we are growing the future of the Republican Party. There are many different organizations out there. One of them has been coming under some controversy in and of itself and within its own membership. I'm talking about the Young Republican National Federation, YRNF. Because they have elections coming up, it seems like everybody wants to be king of the anthill, and there are some less than reputable tactics going on out there. For an inside look, we turn to, and I'm going to screw up his name even though I'm a paisan with him, we're going to turn to Giancarlo Ghione, who is the chair of the New Jersey Young Republican Organization. Giancarlo, how you doing, sir?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How you doing, Gene?
I'm doing great. Did I screw up the name?
Yeah, it's all right. I've heard worse.
Okay, well, you give me the right way to... You give me the right way to say it. Listen, it's the New York Italian versus the Jersey Italian. We got to figure out something. Anyway, so listen, why don't you briefly explain to everybody what the YRNF is and how it relates to your organization in New Jersey?
All right, well, as the chairman of the New Jersey Young Republicans, we fall under an umbrella organization. We're a chapter recognized by the Young Republican National Federation. So we'd like to all work together as a unit, and that's what we're trying to get done here.
And, of course, the mission is to get young people involved in politics at the local and state level for you, and then eventually to become involved in the national level as you grow within each of the local and state organizations, right?
Absolutely. And in New Jersey here, we have quite a few this year, young Republicans running for the state legislature. They're all great candidates, and we are fundraising some money for them aggressively. So we're doing everything we can here in Jersey.
And that sounds great. I got to be honest, though. I have full disclosure, I have a little bit of a bitter taste dealing with the New York State Young Republicans, having been a member of the organization, been on the executive board, kind of seeing how the sausage is made. And it was a bit disheartening. And, is the YRNF, in your opinion, is it a useful organization for state organizations to be with? Or are there, like every other organization, are there issues involved that kind of turn people off?
Well, that's just the internal structure of political beasts, I guess. A lot of people that are involved tend to grow into some sort of megalomania, and it can cause strife within the party, which is unfortunate because it takes away all of our energies from getting people elected.
Right, and that should always be the goal. I totally agree with that statement.
That's the only goal.
There you go. I like the way you think.
Matters.
See, we would have gotten along well in the YRs together, pal. So now, listen, there was an election last year. I don't know if you heard about it for president.
What happened there?
You know what? Some guy from the area actually won. Some guy from the Northeast. He had some business in Jersey as well, as from what I know.
But you got that right. And despite he got it done, despite a lot of people within our party even going against him.
That's true. Now, I was just about to ask about the YRNF involvement in the 2016 campaign. Before we get to current stuff, did you see YRNF doing their part to help elect a Republican president?
I can't totally speak on behalf of the YRNF. Last year, I'm the executive director of the Bergen County Republican Organization. It's the largest county in the state where if you want to win a statewide election, you better win Bergen County. It's the Ohio of New Jersey. So I was very focused with the Trump team here, and I know I was sending people even to Trump Tower in New York to go phone bank there. So I'd be hoping that the national level was doing the same. However, based off of some of the preliminary research I've done with the finances of the organization, we're way behind the college Republicans. They're raking in millions. They have a lot more resources to, shovel out work and volunteers. So I don't know how much we could have done compared to what we should have done.
Okay, and that's fair enough to say. And listen, the Young Republican National Federation are made up of more of young professionals than they are about students. So while I can understand there being a discrepancy, you would think that a bunch of young professionals would be able to get together and put together a good effort, especially for the Republican nominee. But let's put that aside for 1 second, and let's talk about what's going on currently, especially as it relates to the election of a new national chairman for YRNF and your involvement specifically, Giancarlo. I understand that there has been some ill feelings going back and forth, and there may be a text message or some sort of writing from a candidate that specifically mentions you, and I'm going to let you explain exactly what that's all about.
Yes, the candidate, Jason Emmer, and I, we were in touch subsequent to myself being elected by a 2-1 margin in the New Jersey convention, along with members of my slate, except for those who I decided to run unopposed on the other side. And it came to the point where someone that's also on Emmer's ticket was supporting the opposite slate, of which I defeated. And it somehow turned into there was an appeal, and now this whole thing has really just gotten out of control and messy. And at one point, it was recommended by some people that have been existing within the organizations that I reach out to Jason Emmer, as I was told that he has a lot of sway in dictating how this goes down, which I think the text messages evince that, as well as some of the telephone calls that I've had with him where he told me that I was going to learn the hard way. So it's unfortunate. I understand he's a great guy. I just, sometimes two people don't get along right away, and we have to work past it, and we have to make sure that at the end of the day we get people elected.
Well, listen, I appreciate the very neutral way that you're putting it, especially since how you're involved. Behind Enemy Lines has obtained copies of these messages. They're all over the internet. It's public knowledge right now. And the statement that involves you, Giancarlo, is, and this is coming from someone who claims to be Jason Emmert, who is running for YRNF national chair. You should educate Carlo, which I guess means you, Giancarlo, on exactly who I am before he tries to expletive, starting with F, with me. Now, I know you're from Jersey. And I know we've all seen The Sopranos, but this is some mobster, gangster nonsense.
I take it with love. I'm sure he meant it, every bit of it with love, as much as I understand that he has been communicating with some others, trying to explain some sort of rationale for it. But no one put words in his mouth. That came from his mind into his fingers, and he texted them away. So
right, and we should say that his email is listed in the same message, and the screenshot claims that it comes from his mobile. So has he denied saying it?
No, he hasn't denied saying it, but I understand that he was. I didn't read it. Someone sent it to me, but I just kind of had a couple other things that I felt were more important. But he was apparently reaching out to some delegations, trying to give some sort of rationale for that, as well as his tweets that he put out there during the election, I believe, after the primary, that were kind of going against the president.
Oh, I was just about to ask you about that. This gentleman, Jason Emmer, appears to be a never Trump kind of guy. Is that fair to say?
I think at one point it was very fair to say. I'm sure now his stance is much different.
Oh, of course.
I'd hope that I'd imagine and hope that it would be nothing other than that. But at one point it was clear. It was very clear that he was not a Trump guy. He was more of one of the establishment types, maintaining status quo.
Which is interesting to now want to be in a position of possible access and influence with the president, but not on board. Kind of interesting that they would want to, I guess when you have a title, you want to hold on to the title for as long as you can, and that's kind of the nature of what you were talking about in this quote-unquote megalomania you kind of mentioned, that it's more about the title than it is about the responsibilities behind it, right?
Yeah.
Dynamite drop in, Monty. All right, so listen, I'm a man of few words. I like that. So also, as I've been doing my research into YRNF, and let's be honest, not a lot of people know about this. This is insider baseball stuff. And, my last question is going to be, why should anybody care about this? And we'll go into that together. But there's also discussions and postings online about filling spots for the national convention to be held in Annapolis, Maryland, at the beginning of August. And basically, they're trying to stuff delegations with people to show up and vote, I guess, the way that the organizers want. And that, you don't have to stay with the whole convention. You just need a connection to get in, have to pay your way. But if you want to go and, go to Annapolis for a couple of days, you can travel along with us and give us your vote. Is this how things are done?
That's a pretty interesting Facebook post. I believe that's what you're referring to.
That's exactly what I'm referring to.
Yeah, I don't understand what alternate universe that person is living in to think it's even right to say that. As far as I'm concerned, that's rigging an election. I don't know if someone asked him to do that, but there's been a lot of gamemanship going on, insider ball, like you said, and that's only the beginning of it, my friend. I've heard some other things, withholding corporate documents and much more.
Oh, do tell.
Well, from my understanding is that some people, it's a nonprofit corporation, and all the members have rights to corporate records upon request. So I understand that someone that I guess the current administration is mostly comprising of one of the slates, which is head by Emmer, and it was requested that the state chairs and their contact info be given. And someone was told that, one, for political purposes, they weren't going to give it, and that I believe Emmer is the current secretary, so he recused himself. However, if you look at the law, it says that anyone has a right to it, even if they're going to use it for an upcoming election. They are allowed to use it to solicit votes.
So we're talking about like member lists and delegate lists and things like that people would normally have access to, but they don't because the current slate that is, I guess, this majority slate, this YR, they call themselves YR majority, are comprised of incumbents. And those incumbents are not allowing the information to be accessed. Yeah,
the delegate list, all right, fine. I could see, basis on that. I'm not too sure that...
Listen, full disclosure, you're not a lawyer.
Right to.
Right, you're not a lawyer or anything like that, so you don't know exactly the ins and outs and the ups and downs, right?
However, I do know that the membership lists, which they are supposed to in accordance with D.C. nonprofit statutes, keep and maintain records of all the members, their contact information, and that is supposed to be readily available within 5 days after written communication. Supposed to be just sent out, and for one reason or another, it is not being sent out.
Well, I mean that's all right. So let's summarize this. I'm going to add my characterization to it, Giancarlo. So it's not you saying it; it's me saying it. You have documented what I would call strong arm tactics by a candidate. We have stuffing the ballot box, for lack of a better word, by stuffing delegates and delegations, at least one delegation, with people who don't have to live in the state. And we have withholding of information for political gamesmanship. But at the end of the day, Giancarlo, why should anyone who is an old R even care about what's going on with this organization?
Because we need to, the future of the party this year, and unless this changes where it just is whoever's involved, whoever's there right now, that's the only people that are allowed to come in. No one's going to want to get involved. That's a young Republican. And if you don't have the future there, the party's doomed. So everyone should be concerned about this. Any Republican needs to be concerned about this. And the White House in particular, because you have people that were publicly saying things against our nominee and now president.